What's up, guys? The UFC Fight Night card in Macau headlined by Petr Yan versus Deiveson Figueiredo wrapped up, and this was such an exciting fight night card, man. Almost as exciting as the best audio experience by Raycon and their everyday earbuds. Always using them to the gym, while I'm working, commuting. Raycon's earbuds are phenomenal, man. And there's no better time than on Black Friday or Cyber Monday to get your own Raycon earbuds. Their newest model has a 32-hour battery life, multi-point connectivity, where you compare two devices on them at once. They have active noise cancellation, so if you're in any kind of busy area commuting or even at the gym, which is perfect, you don't hear anything but your music. Or listen to the Let's Talk MMA podcast or any other. Or if you're watching the fights, you can hear it with Raycon's better quality, which rivals the biggest names in premium audio. But the thing about Raycon is they start at just half the price with that same kind of quality. And that's before you factor in the whole Black Friday or Cyber Monday offer of up to 30% off. I love the different colors of the protective case covers. They're also magnetic too, so if you want to put them inside the case, it's very easy. They don't fall out, easy to carry around without losing them. They charge very fast, and they're sweat resistant too, so I mostly like to use them when I'm working out, and the sweat resistance really helps, man. So guys, it's time to save big for Black Friday or Cyber Monday by going to buyraycon.com/theweasel. Visit it today to get up to 30% off site-wide. That's right, you'll get up to 30% off everything on Raycon's website when you go to buyraycon.com/theweasel, and it supports the channel a lot. Two massive upset finishes. Every fight was good except Su Yong-yu versus Bargang. A doctor delivered with some anesthesia to her opponent via head kick. An elite level main event, crazy knockouts, amazing card, man. Absolutely a 9 out of 10 fight night. And who stayed up for the whole card? Us Americans, we had to finally get one of those like European time slots in a sense, right? They always watch our cards at like 3 in the morning and stuff. Well, man, that is not easy every single weekend. But the UFC is American, so no, we get that privilege. No, but not gonna lie, that Yu versus Bargang fight was a battle to stay awake to. But the rest of the fights were bangers. Let's start with the main event. Petr Yan versus Deiveson Figueiredo. Yan won by a decision, 50-45, but this was an example of a 50-45 fight being competitive. Not every 50-45 is a domination, one-sided or anything like that. This was a very good fight, man. A late super fight with extreme skill. Both fighters dropped each other, swift scrambles on the ground, both fighters growing and adapting in the fight. Not just Yan, Deiveson was also doing better as the fight was going on. He got a knockdown late, landed some big shots in the 5th round. One of the best fight night main events on paper, played out being one of the best main event fights that we watched. It started off looking dicey for Yan. He got taken down very early, but reversed from the back take. But first round Yan is when he's at his weakest, and he only gets better throughout the fight. Yan landed a bunch of kicks in the 2nd round, switching stances with his combos, but Deiveson landed a right hand that seemingly got Yan a little bit more patient to throw until he faked the right hand and landed that step-in trip. That is one of the best takedowns in the sport, man. Petr Yan is a beat back in the day. They used to always pull it. Well, Yan still lands that technique, but like, it's my favorite takedown in the sport. He slammed Deiveson so hard with that too, but Yan then started to use that trip in the 3rd round to set up his combos. He would step in, get Deiveson off balance with the trip, and then land the left hand. But in the 3rd round, Deiveson got another early takedown, but Yan reversed it much easier and dropped Deiveson with a perfectly timed uppercut as Deiveson was lowering his levels for a takedown. Those uppercuts started to be a problem for Deiveson because he kept ducking, and Yan would even throw those short flying knees from the lead leg. Not the most powerful knees, but damaging enough to get Deiveson from stop ducking all the time, looking for those takedowns. And it was great to see that Petr Yan wasn't shelling up, covering up with a high guard the whole fight. Whenever Deiveson was throwing punches or throwing kicks at him, there was more variety to his defense than the usual shelling up and looking for counters. But the 4th round was more of the same, but Deiveson dropped Yan with the right straight. No jab, no feint, just threw the punch so fast by itself and landed. The guy hits hard, man. 5th round was amazing. Deiveson came out strong with body punches, and Yan landed that spinning elbow from the clinch, forearm framing to measure the range for it. Beautiful striking from Yan, but then Deiveson lands a question mark kick and a right straight after. Yan came back with slick, short range punching combos, just back and forth, man. What an amazing fight from both of these legends. Yan deserves a title shot, whether Merab fights Umar first or not, and Deiveson versus Corey Sandhagen would be exciting. I think it's the best fight to make for Deiveson. He's still fighting up, right? Corey's ranked 1 spot above him, but he put on such a good fight with Yan. I don't think you have him fight Henry Cejudo, or, I mean, you could have him fight Song Yadong, But the thing is, he fought Marlon Vera, who's ranked right below him, and he also fought Rob Font, who's number 9. I don't think he reward Batista with a Deiveson fight, so I think Corey Sandhagen or Song Yadong are the best fights for Deiveson Figueiredo next. And then we go to the other Yan on the card, where Yan Xiaonan dominated Tabatha Ricci with her striking. What a mismatch. Tabatha tried to get in close range, but Yan was countering and intercepting her the whole fight, landing big right straights, heavier shots that we're used to seeing from her before. She would rinse and repeat the same uppercut feints and then uncork the right straight. The uppercut feints would keep Ricci at bay, and at the range for the longer Yan to spam that right straight. So it'd be like uppercut feint, Tabatha's at range, thinking of how to get close. Jab straight from Yan lands. She was in total control of that fight. What a performance by Yan Xiaonan. And I think she should fight Amanda Lemos next. And Tabatha Ricci should fight Luana Pinheiro, who is one of the lower top 15 that she hasn't fought yet. Then we go to the Kung Fu King, Muslim Salikhov, KOing Song Kenan in the first round by a wheel kick to the jaw. Perfect form, balanced turn, great extension with the kick. Doing all of that with a Vegeta hairline is something special. He's so slick with that technique, man. Even still, able to be flexible enough and fast enough to land a shot like that. I feel for Kenan, man. He was looking so good until that kick. But Muslim Salikhov, his striking is just on a higher level than Song Kenan's. Then we go to Gabriella Fernandes, winning in one of the biggest upsets in UFC history statistically. As a huge underdog, she not only finishes Wang, she dropped the kickboxing champion with her striking. Bringing that into the context of how she finished the fight is insane. MMA is just a different sport, man. Wang Kong beat Valentina Shevchenko in kickboxing. Looks amazing at MMA. Looked amazing in this fight. But one moment where she walks forward with her hands extended and she gets head kicked. She did not see the kick at all. After getting rocked by the head kick, she was throwing combinations out of striking instinct. Backs away wobbled. Left straight for Fernandes, drops Cong. Fast rear naked choke finish. Crazy finish, man. We all thought that Wang Kong was going to be like the next thing in the flyweight division. She still can be. Fernandes is also a fighter that cannot be underestimated after that finish. I mean, she's built like a brick house. Back looking like Yujiro. Powerful fighter with an insane squeeze. For a female fighter to have a squeeze like that, it's insane, man. Then we go to Carlos Ulberg, defeating his first ranked fighter, Volkan Oezdemir, by decision. Good performance from Ulberg. Landed counter hooks, offensive jabs and straights, and circling the cage. Volkan just seemed too slow to cut off the movement, and his leg kicks were getting countered too, so he couldn't really stop Ulberg from moving around the cage. And how hard does Jiri Prohaska punch? He got Volkan out of there within 2 rounds. Ulberg, as we know, hits hard. It landed some big shots, but only stunned Volkan a couple times. I was also thinking during the fight, why isn't Volkan shooting takedowns? Then he shoots in the 3rd round and gets easily stuffed, and I'm like, okay, Ulberg won this fight for sure. If it was that easy for him to stuff the takedown. Also, what was the commentator disrespecting our guy, Trevor Peek? In the middle of the fight, man, that was so sad. They didn't even remember his name. They knew him as like the Hammer Fist guy. Put respect on Trevor Peek's name, man. But good win by Ulberg, and I think he should fight Alexander Rakic next. I think Ulberg will be ranked in the top 8. Rakic is number 5, and I think that should be a great fight. 2 powerful and fast strikers with Rakic's fundamental wrestling versus Ulberg's explosive takedown defense. As for Volkan, I think he should fight Dominic Reyes. Then we go to another light heavyweight prospect, Zhang Mingyang, TKO's Ozzy Diaz quickly in the 1st round. That's 18 first round finishes for Zhang. Insane. He's as powerful as they get, but also technical. Look how he landed the elbow and watch him block Ozzy's left hook at the same time. He perfectly countered with a shorter strike than the one his opponent threw. That's what good striking defense does, man. Amazing finish by the future contender. Then we go to the sleeper of the card, Su Young Yu defeating Bergang by a decision. Yu was just clearly the better wrestler, and Bergang had the reach advantage, but decided not to use it for most of the fight. Instead of probing jabs and feinting for offense, he kind of just did nothing for most of that fight. He landed less than 20 significant strikes, which honestly shouldn't have been considered significant strikes. Many of the total head strikes that he landed were punches to the back of the head in the 1st round. What was all that about? I don't know if the referees understand how dangerous shots to the back of the head are. You can't just let them punch him in the back of the head that many times. We saw with the Charles Oliveira fight with Michael Chandler, and now we saw in this fight as well. Now, they weren't as powerful as the ones that Chandler were landing. I mean, those were crazy. And Chandler tried to say after that he was landing on the ear. But in this fight, even with him on his back, he's throwing punches and landing to the back of the head multiple times. That's kind of crazy. But Su Young Yu won that fight comfortably in what could have been a much more competitive fight, I think. By far the worst fight on the whole card. But then we go to Dong Hyun Choi, knocking out Kiro Sahota cold in the 1st round. Bro just stood his ground and swung for the knockout and landed through the guard. Sahota could have stepped away for distance, but instead sat in the pocket while being 5 inches taller and outreaching his opponent. Another fight of a lack of distance management from the longer fighter, but excellent win for Choi though. That guy hits hard for a flyweight. Those are some powerful overhands he was throwing, man. But there's something about like the stature of a long, tall, skinny fighter, that makes it look like they don't have a chin. I mean, bro, Sahota's 5'10" at flyweight. He's as tall as lightweights are. He's the same height as Islam Makhachev. I wonder if that changes the way a fighter can take a punch, being that skinny for a weight class. You would have to think so, right? The neck is usually thinner. The shoulders aren't as big to block punches. I wonder scientifically how that kind of factors in a fighter's chin, because we know the bigger the neck is and usually the more compact the fighter is, the better their chin is usually going to be. But that's not always true, right? Carlos Condit had a great chin. He was like 6'2" as a welterweight. Maybe it's all just natural. And then another massive upset. Dr. Shi Ming KOs the massive favorite Fang Xiaonan in the third round with a head kick, shin to the jaw, from a much shorter fighter too. Fang was throwing the left straight, and while retracted the punch back to her guard, she lowered her hand by like an inch and got KO'd for it. It is true when they say it's a game of inches in an MMA fight. It's insane. One small mistake like that potentially put her in a hospital because she was out cold for a long time, man. I hope she recovers. I hope she's okay, man. That was a brutal knockout. And you can also see in the first round that Ming nearly landed another head kick, but Fang there had her hand up to block it. Now, one hand to block a kick is not great. We've seen fighters get knocked out for blocking with one hand, but at least she did block it, So I hope Fang recovers healthy, and an amazing win for Shi Ming. Her blitzes were good too, but the reach from Fang was giving her issues with the boxing exchanges. Crazy that a shorter fighter like that thinks, okay, I'm gonna start throwing head kicks now, and actually working for her. Then with Carlos Hernandez getting the split decision win against Niam Dragal Tumendembarel. Close fight because Niam hits like a truck. Technically, he was not comparable to Hernandez. Hernandez was clearly the more technical fighter in there, but it's one of those fights where Hernandez doesn't have a lot of punching power, and Niam has all the punching power in the world. Every time he landed a meaningful punch, he hurt Hernandez. But he was loading up on that shot, looking for the home run the whole fight, which gave many openings for Hernandez to evade with lateral movements, counter with combinations, and get takedowns. Hernandez was fighting a technical game. Niam was just fighting for the knockout, but he did get a knockdown in the first round and rocked Hernandez in the third, making it a close fight on the scorecards. Right, Hernandez was clearly doing more throughout the fight, but Niam came closer to finishing the fight, at least closer than Hernandez did. Good fight though, and Hernandez is back on the winning column. Then we go to the two future ranked flyweights. Lonnie Kavanaugh defeating Jose Ochoa by a unanimous decision. High level fight in a kicking clinic by Kavanaugh. Battered the legs and body of Ochoa. Dropped him and rocked him with explosive counterpunches. That's how kicks set up counterpunches, man. They force the opponent to close distance and get aggressive so they could be too close to get hit by kicks. But that can open counterpunches as they get reckless. But Ochoa also hurt Kavanaugh at the end of the second round with body shots, forcing Kavanaugh to shoot a takedown. So it's interesting with like most of the successful strikes that hurt the other fighter, the opponent answers with getting in closer range, besides a knockdown, of course. Excellent performance by both fighters. I don't think a loss here hurts either of them. I think they're both going to be successful in the future. They're both very good fighters. Then we go to Zhao Long versus Quang Li. Zhao Long wins by TKO in the third round after breaking Li down exchange after exchange with volume and pressure. The fight seemed even in the first half of the first round, but then Long started to get ahead throughout the fight, doubling Li's output and just being too tough for Li to knock him away and keep him away from him. Long just kept attacking with crazy cardio, insane output, and pointing to the ground every opportunity that he had. I mean, he was doing the Max Holloway the whole second round, and the whole time Li was thinking, bro, can this guy stop? Let me take a breath. And the thing is, Long got so much better from his last fight. His striking is way more polished. He's not as wild or as rugged as he used to be in his striking. His grappling has always been great, but he's abandoned most of that for his focus on improving his striking. He's one of those kind of fighters who had really good grappling in the beginning of his career, but then abandoned that because he just fell in love with his striking. Well, hopefully he mixes in his grappling with his striking as he gets better as an overall fighter. And I think once he does that, he can be something in this bantamweight division. So great win for Zhao Long. He's gonna put on some exciting fights, man. And then Nicholas Mata wins a decision against Mahashata. Exciting fight. Mata has a left hook, man. Rocked Mahashata and even dropped him with the right hand as Mahashata was moving left, throwing a jab. So he's moving into the right hand, trying to get away from the left hook, right? He was respecting the left hook a lot more than the right hand, but he still has to remember the right hand is still the power hand of Mata. But Mahashata also dropped Mata in the first round with that knee. Their names sound so alike. Well, Mahashata dropped Nicholas in the first round with a knee, but Nicholas is powerful and crazy fast in those exchanges. One of the better left hooks in the sport, man. The way he whips that left hook is just different. He has a lot of snap with that punch, and it's not even like, I know every time someone throws a left hook, we always compare it to Alex Pereira, right? Because he does have the best left hook in the sport. One of the best left hooks in all of combat sports. Maybe the best left hook in all of combat sports, with how much success he's had with that punch throughout two different sports is insane. But they don't throw it the same way, right? We can't always compare a left hook with Alex. Because honestly, Alex throws his left hook different than everybody. It's a very unique way that he throws it. Nicholas Mata throws it more conventional, longer range though, a lot longer range that's more suited for MMA than it is for boxing. Because in MMA, the range is longer than it is in boxing. Therefore, the punches are usually going to be a lot longer as well. That's why you see bolo uppercuts instead of little short uppercuts that you see from like Mike Tyson and various other boxers. In MMA, the uppercuts and hooks are a lot longer, trying to cover that distance where they're usually in kicking range before they ever get into punching range. So to get into punching range, sometimes they're going to leap in with that left hook, just like Nicholas Mata was. So I guess it is kind of to a Joe Frazier left hook, but not a conventional left hook that you learn in every boxing gym. And the snap that he has in that punch is crazy. I wonder if he is left-handed though, because he throws that left hand better than his right hand. So either he's an orthodox left-handed fighter, or he just specifically trained that left hook while also being a right-handed fighter. Like, I think Dustin, for an example, Dustin is a right-handed fighter in southpaw. Very interesting, but I hope you guys enjoy the fights. I know it was very early for a lot of us. Unless, do you like it in America's time, or do you like it the way they did it in China? I like it when it's in the afternoon. Like if they go to Europe with a card and they have it catered to their time, I honestly like that a lot more. Or if they go to the Middle East or something, like afternoon fights are the best in my opinion, because we don't have to stay up so late. But I hope you guys enjoy the fights. I hope you guys enjoy the video, and if you guys did, make sure to give the video a like, make sure to subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, and I'll see you guys in the next video.